You made a little bit of a kerfuffle a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about what Caleb Williams should do based on the long-standing history of the Bears and how they've handled quarterbacks. Have you thought about it more? Have a different opinion now that we're in draft week, Robert?
No, I don't. No. My whole opinion about Caleb Williams pulling an Eli Manning, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
It made a lot of Bears fans upset, but I have to be honest when I give my assessment of the current situation, and according to my qualitative analysis, they need to extend Matt Eberflus in order to give Caleb Williams enough runway with the coaching staff that he has to truly solidify himself and solidify that organization to do exactly what Ryan Poles said he wants to do, which is break the cycle. So I'm not a guy that, Rich, you know me, I'm not like picking fights with people and like trying to be a villain or anything like that. It was just my opinion of the situation. I feel bad for Justin Fields because I feel like they set him up to fail. And Caleb Williams doesn't have to worry about that. I have no problem with the 100-year history of the Chicago Bears. I'm just saying for this young man, you don't want to have a coaching staff that's fighting for their jobs this season to sacrifice his development for his long-term future. That was more so where I was coming from. And it's still the same situation unless Ryan Poles comes out and says that they've extended Matt Eberflus. It doesn't really change. He'll be the first pick. I think that he can be the quarterback to help the Chicago Bears break the cycle. I just hope that they help him and set him up the best they possibly can organizationally, because roster-wise, Rich, I mean, they got a bunch of dogs out there for him to throw the football to and hand the ball off to. So I'm excited for him.
Well, and I think that's the counter point to what you're saying is understood about the long-standing history, which is something obviously the Bears can't do anything about that. But what they can do is build the roster around them. And but your point is taken in the fact that if it doesn't matter who you are, right? You need to have a setup where you are attached at the hip with a coaching staff that will get the same amount of runway that you, as a young quarterback, should be afforded to develop. And if that doesn't match up, then you're starting back at square one, which is something that, if I'm not mistaken, happened with Trubisky and John Fox with a defensive-minded head coach, and that's where you were going with that.
Yeah. But, and Rich, go ahead, finish.
No, doesn't it matter if it's Shane Waldron? Like, wouldn't that be the guy that it really is resting on his shoulders here to make sure that is not going to be the case, Robert, the OC?
No, you're spot on, and Rich, you know how this business is, and how people when you say something, they take off and run with it. I clearly articulated exactly that point that hey, they got ballers around him. They just don't have the infrastructure solidified. Shane Waldron will be his offensive coordinator. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears drafted Rome Odunze at number 9 if he falls there, or if Malik Neighbors is there, because Shane Waldron is used to working with 3 superstar receivers. He had DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba in Seattle. But the situation for the Bears is they were almost a playoff team last year. So now you have an improved roster. You bring in a quarterback that you believe to be better, that I believe to be better than Justin Fields. And now what is the expectation? The rest of the division is getting better as well. So if they don't make the playoffs, or they fall considerably short of making the playoffs, what happens to your coaching staff then? That is more so my concern. Because if they make the playoffs, there's a really good chance that Shane Waldron is going to become a head coach. So he'll be losing out on his offensive coordinator anyway. But you can just promote from within, keep the same system, and everything is good. But it puts a ton of pressure on the organization, not Caleb Williams, because I believe he'll have at least 3 to 4 years of runway, and he wants to play for 20 years in one place, and I'm all for that. But for that coaching staff, it puts pressure on them to win now. You change the quarterback. You made all these additions to the roster. You can't win the same amount of games as you did last year and then walk away saying, yep, we did right by our quarterback, we did right by our fans. That's more so my concern, because Matt Eberflus was on the hot seat last year. He was on the hot seat at the end of the season, and they said, we're bringing him back. Now, if they don't make the playoffs, now what happens? And I just don't want to see that happen to a young quarterback. That's more so where I was coming from with that whole thing.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.